1 in 3. That's how many American men will face physical violence, sexual assault, or stalking by an intimate partner. 1 in 3 women worldwide will endure physical or sexual abuse, most often by someone they know. But domestic abuse isn't just bruises. It's manipulation, it's fear, it's control that seeps into every part of your life. I'm Ingrid Dutton, and I survived it. Then I created 1 in 3 so no one else has to suffer in silence. Each week, we break that silence together. Occasionally joined by survivors, loved ones, and experts, we talk about the pain, yes, but also about the healing, resilience, and the fight to reclaim your life. This podcast is more than awareness, it's a lifeline. And a reminder, you are seen, you are heard, you are never alone. Search for 1 in 3 wherever you get your podcasts, because every voice matters and every story deserves to be heard. Before we get started with Rudy's situation, we do want to let you all know there may be a trigger warning. This does involve violence, overuse of power, aggression. It does appear to be racially motivated.
And there's some explicit language that we're not cutting out.
Right. Hey guys, so hopefully you listened to the last 2 episodes. I thought they were really educational.
I agree. They totally were.
And I think it gave us a good idea of all the highs and lows that Black Americans have gone through throughout our country's history. And today we are bringing you a story of a situation my former college roommate, Rudy Story, had gone through when he was in college. And the reason we're bringing this, our intent is not to make this political. We don't want anyone to sigh or roll their eyes. This is a real story. This was witnessed by quite a few individuals who can back up exactly what happened. I think when listening to this, it's important to realize that there are bad people in every profession, and there are people who make bad decisions in every profession. And unfortunately, they typically get a lot of the attention. So we want to make sure that you understand that we understand that the individuals in this situation who made poor choices do not represent the entirety of the Winona Police Department. They do not represent the entirety of police in general. And please keep that in mind. We love our first responders, and we know how difficult their jobs can be, but we also understand that there are people who just make bad decisions, utilize their power in a bad way. But anyway, Rudy does tell us in this his purpose of why he wanted to share the situation with everybody, and we'll just let him take it from here.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Hey, Rudy. I haven't seen you in about 24 years. It's been a long time.
Been a long time? Oh my God. Yes.
It has been.
When's the last time we actually, I know we met up, it was like New Year's Eve or something.
Orlando. I saw you in Orlando.
Yeah.
That was the last time. That was like 10 years ago.
It was a long time. So what are you doing? You're doing football, coaching?
I teach math of all things. God bless America. And I coach football and I coach track and weightlifting.
That's awesome.
So high school though, right?
Yeah, I do high school math. Like I do geometry, algebra, and math for college readiness. It's like intermediate college algebra.
Oh my God.
Rudy, where were you when I failed pre-calc my freshman year?
Right? You know what's funny? Is I picked my major because it didn't have any math in it. That's why. Now here I am, right?
That's funny.
I literally did. I picked my major. I was like, I'm going to do that.
Do you tell your students that? That's fantastic.
Yes, I do. It's a great
I
story.
would. That's awesome.
I don't know, it just kind of grows on you, I guess.
I love it. That's so
You know,
funny.
get wiser.
Right. That's so funny.
You're going to tell a story. Is this story going to make me cry? Like, do I need tissues or anything?
Yeah, you better grab your box. It might.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, Rudy. Whatever. Fine. If I do cry, I'll just wipe it on my sweatshirt. That works.
Yeah. Why are you going to have
Alright.
manners now?
I know, right?
I'm a lady now. I'm a lady.
Right.
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 So, where do you guys want me to start?
Wherever you want.
Okay, I'll start with what brought me to Winona in the first place.
I was actually just going to ask you that.
The weather.
Right? Yeah, right. Came to go to People's Fair, whatever that's called. That I used to go to. Remember
The what?
China festival that they used to have by the two lakes.
Oh, what was it called?
What was it? People's Fair. But yeah, I came to Minnesota to play football. I got recruited out of high school to go there to play football. That's how I ended up there.
Where'd you go to
But,
high school at?
I went to Pasco High School in Dade City, Florida,
Ah, okay.
where I graduated from. And I had never been out of the state of Florida. I was born in Denver, but I had never been between Denver and Florida. My parents were in the military, so we moved back and forth.
Were they
I
Air
had
Force?
some snow, but yeah, and the Marines. But I
Oh,
was
wow.
prepared for the kind of snow that Minnesota had. It was fun at first. Like I look at all these people that have social medias now, like Snapchat and all that good stuff. I so wish I could have had that to like show all the people all the stuff that I did. Some of the stuff I did was fun, but yeah, it was fun.
No, I'm so glad there wasn't that.
Me
I know,
too.
right? I probably going to get a job now, right?
You remember who my roommates were?
I know, right?
It was
we
all
used to
them,
have
not me.
We used to have a good time.
Oh, it was fun.
All right, so well, I'm gonna tell you the story. Ingrid, were you guys there? I can't remember.
I don't think so. I don't think we were there yet. I mean, we lived with you and I had no idea about this story until I
Yeah, I think that happened. Yeah, because I was living the Yellow Pepsi house.
Yellow
You remember
Pepsi
that?
house.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was living in the Yellow Pepsi house at the time when it happened. Basically, what happened? Marcus, remember Marcus?
Marcus.
They were having a party at their house, which was across the street from my house. And usually, when there's a party, the cops come, they break it up, give everybody that lives there tickets, and they kick everybody out. So that's what we thought was going to happen. So we were up in the attic, and it was crazy. It was ironic, is like at the time, I didn't even drink alcohol yet. I was like brand new to the college life. I had never drank alcohol in my whole life until like my sophomore year of college. That's crazy.
Wow.
Right. So I was like not a partier, but I just like to hang out. And so someone said, Deshaun, hey, the cops are downstairs. So we're in the attic trying to get everybody quiet. And we turned the music down and we looked out the window and they had guy Charles. Remember Charles?
No, I don't think so. Maybe.
He was up in the window. We were looking out the window, me and him. And then Deshaun went downstairs because they were like, cops downstairs, blah, blah, blah. So he went downstairs and the next thing you know, we're looking out the window. They had Deshaun in handcuffs and they were slamming him on the hood of the car so we could see from upstairs.
Oh my God.
So we all went downstairs and they were like, what did he do? Why y'all slamming him in handcuffs? The cop was like, he's resisting arrest. And then Charles was like, well, he's in handcuffs. Like, how is he resisting arrest? Like, that's bullshit. And then so the cop turns around and I said, I was just standing in the crowd, like not even like in the midst of everything. And I just said, if I was Deshaun, I'd get an attorney. So there was an officer in plain clothes. He walked up to me. He said, oh, you've been in trouble? Do you have a need for an attorney? I said, no, I've never been in trouble. He goes, do you live here? He pointed at their house. And I said, no, I live here. And I pointed across the street at my house. And then he goes, well, if you live here, you're under arrest. I said, well, I don't live here. And then I still remember all the names. Sergeant. He was the cop that came. He's like, all right, everybody go home. So I started walking towards my house. And then when I got to the curb across the street, like one of them just slammed me on the ground. And then one was standing on my head. The other one had my hands behind my back. And the other one was holding my legs together. And I had a cast on my left hand because I had broke my hand in a football game. And it was stuck underneath me while they were standing on me.
Oh my
And then he
God.
started swearing at me. He's like, put your fucking hands behind your back. And I said, if you would please take your foot off my head, then maybe I can comply with what you're asking me to do. I was trying to remain calm because I was like, I didn't want to panic because I felt like they would have did something worse if I was like disrespected. So I tried to be as nice as possible, but I guess that didn't work. So he started yelling at me again, put your hands behind my back. And I said, I'm sorry, sir, I can't move because the cast was on my hand and I was on top of it like this. And so the fourth cop, he came over and he started hitting me with his flashlight, one of those big metal flashlights, while the other ones were holding me down. And by then, the whole crowd of people, they were like closing in and surrounding them. And Sergeant, he looked back and he told him, he's like, hey, let him up, let him up. So they got off of me and I just laid on the ground. I didn't move. And then my roommate, Lane, Jason Lane at the time, he was like going nuts. He's like, y'all just beat the shit out of me. You expect them to hop up like nothing's wrong. And another one of the officers walked over and he kicked me in the ribs. He's like, get up. And that's why we're here, because you're not doing what we asked you to do. And then so finally I got up and I walked over to the cop car and I got in the back seat. They never handcuffed me or anything. I just got in the back seat and I sat there, and then the officer that was driving the car, he got out and they started breaking up the crowd. I was just sitting there. And then he came back in the car. He goes, why'd they arrest you? Have you been drinking? I said, no, I haven't been drinking. He said, well, why'd they arrest you? I said, I don't know. So he was like, I guess they'll tell you when they get you down to the station. So they drove me down to the police station, and they're booking me. They gave me the good old fashioned orange jumpsuits and all of that stuff. And officer that was
Oh my
booking,
God.
yeah, he was asking me, like, am I allergic to food, like different medications and food? And I was like, no. And he asked me, had I been drinking? I said, no, I haven't. So they took me in the room and they gave me a breathalyzer. Showed that I hadn't been drinking, because at the time I didn't drink alcohol. I was just hanging out. And then so he said, well, why did they arrest you? I said, I don't know. He said, well, I'll go find out. So he left the room and he came back like 15 minutes later. He's like, the officer that arrested you is off duty now, so we got to wait till he gets home to give a call. I was like, all right. So then they let me call Coach Hosier, and I told him what happened. He was like, don't worry, I'm gonna call Judge Shalene. I have you out there in 30 minutes. Just sit tight. I was like, all right. So I sat there, and then finally Coach came and got me out. They took me to the hospital. I had to get stitches in my eye right here, where they slammed me on the ground. And I had to get my arm reset because they messed my cast up. And then I had bruises down my ribs and my lower thigh area from him hitting me with the flashlight. My face was kind of scraped up from being on the sidewalk and him standing on me. And so I got a letter in the mail 3 days later saying that I had been arrested for obstruction of the legal process with force, resisting arrest, and public nuisance. So they didn't tell me what I did at the time. I mean, I got a letter in the mail. So they ran a story on the news. I think it was like Rochester, Channel 8 or something, some news channel out of Rochester, that like Winona State students were throwing bottles at the police when they tried to break up a party and all this other crap. So me, being the mass communications major, I like called the news station. I was like, no, that's not what happened. My name is Rudy. If you really want to know what happened, give me a call back. So I left a message on their machine, and it was like 11 at night when I got home. And that next morning when I woke up to go to school or go to class, there was like every news van in front of my house. And I came outside, talked to the reporters. I walked them through what happened. Like, you can still see my blood fresh on the sidewalk where they slammed me down and cut my eye. And so the reporter was like, well, you don't seem like type of person. I was like, no, I'm not. I was like, I was just the person that was here. And the only thing I said to the cop was like, if I was in Sean, I'd get an attorney. So then they started asking me that I think it was racially motivated. And I was like, well, yeah, because I've been to like tons of parties and never once had I ever seen this happen or it handled like this, except for when it was at that house. And then so they ran another story on the news, and that's when my attorney saw it on the news. He was out of Minneapolis. He's like this big high-powered attorney. He does like huge corporations that were getting sued for tax evasion. He represented corporations, but he called me. He's like, I just saw your story. He's like, do you have representation? I was like, no. He's like, well, unless your parents make hundreds of thousands of dollars, don't worry about a fee. And I was like, all right. So he's like, I'll represent you pro bono. I was like, awesome. So he sent his private investigator down, and I started walking him through everything that happened. They interviewed all the people, and eventually I ended up going to trial. So when I went to trial, or before I went to trial, like they would do stuff just to like screw with me. This kind of why, like, when I moved in with Ingrid and them, that's part of the reason why I wanted to live with like all girls, because like they broke into my house, and one night they took me, like one night I was in bed. It's like 12 o'clock on a Sunday night, and my roommate had went home for the weekend. It was laying, and like all my roommates, they all lived in Wisconsin, and they went home, and I was the only one there. And the girl I was dating at the time, Heather, she worked at I forgot the name of that hotel, but she was like a bartender at this hotel, and she would always come over to my house when she got off work. So I left the door open, thinking it was her, and I could hear her, like someone moving around, but it wasn't her. And I just didn't pay attention. I just thought, it's just her in the house. She was getting water. But then no one turned on any lights. Usually she'll turn on the lights. And I looked out of my room, out of the door, and I could see the flashlight shining around in my house. So I'm like thinking I'm about to get robbed. So I got out of bed. I was still in my underwear, and I grabbed a baseball bat that I used to have by my bed. So I reached around the corner and I hit the light switch. And it was Officer standing there with his flashlight and his gun drawn. And he said, he goes, I want to talk to you about your car insurance and registration. And I was like, on a Sunday night? He's like, yeah. So I was like, can I get dressed? So he's like, yeah. So he followed me in my room, and I got my clothes on. I went outside, and then on each side of my door, there was two officers, like they were expecting me to run out of the house. So they put me in a car, took me down to the police station. And they had me down there until like probably 3, 4 in the morning. So when Heather got to my house and I wasn't there, like she got worried. So she started calling, and she called the people. She actually called the police station, and they said I wasn't there. So they had me in this room, and they would just ask like random questions, like, what are you doing in Winona? I was like, I go to school here, like play football. Like, what do you do to get money? How'd you buy your car? I had like a Dodge Colt. It was like nothing special. And I was like, I work, my parents work, like literally just asking me the dumbest questions, and they would leave for like 20, 30 minutes at a time and just make me sit there. And then so finally, like at 3 in the morning, they let me go. They wouldn't give me a ride back to my house, so I had to walk, and it was like ice cold. It was like freezing cold, and I didn't have a jacket or anything. So I had to walk back to my house from the police station. And so the next morning, I went to school, and I talked to Mr. C. He was like the dean of like cultural affairs, cultural diversity and affairs. So I told them what happened. So they called the police, and the police were like, no, we don't have any record of him being here or whatever. So I was like, that's bullshit. So at Mr. C, he told me that I should purchase a handgun. And I was like, for what? So they can like kill me? So This was all between the time I was waiting to go to trial. So I called my attorney, and I told my attorney, and he said to just wait until I went to trial. Don't bring up any of that stuff. And he was like, basically, don't go anywhere by yourself. Make sure you're always with somebody. So I had all the kids from the football team like stay over my house. There were people that was always, I made sure I was always like not by myself. And then one night they were, I could hear them on the roof of my house. It was crazy. And
the police were on the roof of your house?
Yeah, it was somebody.
Oh my God.
I could hear them walking around on there. And then I had one of my friends over, and I was like, do you hear that? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, they were yelling like, come out, nigger, come out on top of the house. And I was like, this crazy. So I'm on the phone, and then I had Eddie on the phone. he's listening. And then I had the person there and they was like, go outside. I'm like, I'm not going outside. So we just kind of sat there. And then we tried to call the cops. I was like, why would you call the cops when you know it is the cops? So that happened. That went on for like a good 30, 40 minutes. So I was like scared to death to go outside that night. Then the next morning I woke up, I went back to school. And that's when I met with the president of the university. And he called my mom. They talked to my mom. And he told my mom, don't worry. I can promise you he'll be fine. We're not going to let anything happen to him, whatever. So I ended up staying there. And then finally I get to go to trial. And it's crazy. We go into this room with my attorney. And we're going over the questions that he's going to ask them and like how things are going to go. He's kind of showing me or telling me what's going to happen. Well, inside that room, we found the questions that their attorney were going to ask the police. They left a copy of them, and I don't know if they did it on purpose or if it was like a mistake, but it didn't go well for them. Whatever, in any event. So we go to trial, and basically my attorney was like, okay, so he's interviewing all the cops. He asked the one police officer, Mr. Gabbard, the one that was pushing the crowd back. He goes, can you describe the scene that night? And he said, yeah, it was wild and crazy. The kids were throwing bottles. We were fearing for our lives, all this other nonsense. And it was out of control. And he was like, well, how did you know that your colleagues were hitting Mr. Story with a flashlight? And he goes, well, I could hear him striking his flesh with the flashlight. So I turned around and I looked. And so my attorney was like, it was crazy. People were screaming and they were hitting him that hard that you could hear it over all the yelling. And then he didn't answer. He just sat on the stands. He didn't say anything. And then so my attorney's like, I got no further questions. So he gets up and walks out. Then he calls the next officer in because they're not allowed to be in the courtroom at the same time and hear each other's testimony. He called the one that was holding my legs together. And he said that the reason why I was getting hit because I tried to grab the officer's flashlight and take control of it. And I tried to grab his gun off his hip. So he said, that's your testimony. He's like, yeah. He goes, so I'm going to lay on the floor and you tell me how Mr. Story or show me how Mr. Story tried to grab your flashlight. So you put me in the position he was in. So he said that I was laying on the ground. They had this hand, which had a cast on it underneath me. They had this one behind my back. He said they didn't have this hand behind my back, that the flashlight came over my shoulder and I tried to grab it like this. And then that was his testimony. The other officer came in and basically my attorney asked him the same questions. Put him on the floor, put me in a position that Mr. Story was in when he tried to grab your flashlight. This guy said that it was underneath my arm and I tried to grab it like this. So they had like all this conflicting testimony. And then so the third cop they called in, the one that was holding my feet together, he said he didn't see me trying to grab the flashlight. He just heard the other officer say, let go of my flashlight or you will be struck. That's what his testimony was. And then so the one that was hitting me, he said he called him in. He goes, he asked him, he's like, how long have you been a police officer? He's like, 18 years. He was like, so do you think you're pretty good at your job? He's like, yes. He goes, so you think you're trained well? You do your job well? He's like, yes. He asked him, he goes, when did you write the report? He goes, about an hour after the incident happened. He goes, so everything was fresh in your mind when you wrote this report? He's like, yes. And he pulls out a copy of the report. He says, is this your report? Shows it to him. He goes, yes. He goes, while I have you on the stand under oath, I want you to read your report and read in there anywhere where you mention Mr. Story trying to grab your flashlight. So he's sitting on the stand for like 10 minutes reading it. It's not in there. They didn't write it in there. So he's like, you're a trained officer. and this is your justification for hitting Mr. Story and using that kind of force with him, and you left that important detail out that's going to save your behind. Mm-hmm. And he didn't say anything. And then their attorney was like, objection, objection. And everybody started going crazy. And the judge was like, all right, calm down. So then he was like, I got no further questions. So basically everybody in the courtroom knew they lied and they made that up. Mm-hmm. So after that, the jury intervened and they came back and they found me not guilty on all the accounts. Awesome. Which is, yeah. So they were worried about a counter lawsuit, which my attorney never pursued. So that never happened. But I think that's what they were worried about because of how high profile of an attorney he was. He wasn't just like some guy that we found in the phone book, but he actually sought me out and then represented me and got everything taken care of. So that was that. And then after that, I was like, okay, it's time for me to get out on them. So that was that whole experience.
I can't remember. Were you the only one that was arrested that night? You were not.
No, I was not. Charles was arrested because he told. I remember standing there, and we all got to the police. Oh, I got there first, and I could literally hear him beating the crap out of the Deshaun in the next room over. Like they were giving him the business, working him over. He's like screaming, ah! So I was just sitting there. I wasn't saying nothing, but he slapped one of the officers slapped Charles because Charles said something about an attorney, and that's when they snatched him and put him in the car. They had Deshaun in the car first, and then when I was going home, when he told me to go home, that's when he threw me on the ground, and they did that to me, and then I got sent to the car. And then so another thing too is when my attorney was talking in court, he was like, "So, Mr. Story is supposed to be hostile and aggressive and doing all of these bad things, but you guys never once handcuffed him." Nope. And he walked to the car on his own. Yep. And you never once put handcuffs on him. The whole night. Nope. Never once put handcuffs on me. So that was another big deal that helped me get out of the trouble is because they tried to say I was aggressive and I was doing all the stuff that I wasn't doing because they never handcuffed me. If someone's being aggressive, obviously you're going to put them in handcuffs. You're not going to let them walk on their own. So they never once handcuffed me. They never told me why I was under arrest. They never did any of that stuff. Like I said, I found out I was under arrest 3 days later when they sent me that letter in the mail, which I thought was crazy.
Was the trial actually in Winona? Is that where they held it?
Yeah, okay. It was in Winona. And what's crazy is there was this girl that I was friends with. She was in the Black Cultures Awareness Association club with me. And one of the officers was her landlord. Huh. She was telling him, I thought you was a good dude. How could you, treat one of my friends like this? And then he told her that he was hitting me to let me know it was serious because I wasn't taking it serious. Because I was so calm and I was relaxed and I wasn't being a yokel. He didn't think that I was taking it serious.
Were you guys able to call witnesses? Because there were a lot of people that saw what happened.
Yeah, we called witnesses. Like I said, basically, all the witnesses that came to the stand for me, they talked about my behavior at the time. How did I react in the whole situation? Which was consistent with, I never once swore. I never once tried to resist. I never once tried to fight back. I never once did anything. I just kind of sat there. And then they also testified that I didn't have alcohol in my system, which was, they gave me a breathalyzer and that was good because I didn't have alcohol in my system.
Right.
So they didn't think that I was sober, but I was sober. I was probably the one person in there that was sober.
How did you stay there another year or 2 years? I can't remember. How much longer?
That's when I met you guys and I moved in with you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Did they give you a hard time after the trial?
Or
did they just kind of just ignore you after that?
No, they didn't. Well, I changed my car. I did change my car, and then after that, I didn't like I never for the rest of my time there, I was never by myself. I was always with somebody, and it was weird because you take it for granted like that you could just go anywhere and do whatever you want. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to go to the store, I'm gonna go by myself. But like that whole scenario for me was just like, it was scary. Like, I couldn't wait to get out of there.
Yeah, that's absolutely terrifying. It's like they broke into your house, you're on your roof, like they could hold everything against you. That is,
Yeah. And like, it was crazy because like I didn't like I was like, I know you hear people say I'm innocent all the time, but I literally was like the only person there that did nothing, like nothing.
Right.
I had a broken arm and I was sober. Like, I did nothing.
It's so horrible. So do you know, I'm assuming, do you know where the officers were they penalized for anything or disciplined
No,
at all because of any of it?
I don't think they were ever. Like, I wasn't privy to that information. Like, I wanted to know. I know that I didn't sue him. I wanted to sue him, but Bill was like, "Nah, we good now. You off. We're gonna get you out of here. You go have a nice life." So I don't even think there was a consequence for him. I'm pretty sure you can look at if it's public record, but I don't think anything happened to him.
wow.
So awful.
And see, what's crazy is like, if we lived in today's age where there were cell phones and everyone filmed everything, it would have been easier for me to maybe make them have a consequence. But because there wasn't any, and the amount of lead work that would have to have happened, and in light of all the other stuff that he did for free for me, I guess he just felt like it wasn't worth the time and energy for him to do it. But I really wanted to pursue that. And I know, like, I know for a fact now, looking back now that I'm older, I still struggle with like not trusting the police, but like I always have that doubt. Like, when people say stuff or they write something down, I'm like, that's not like there's always that. Yeah, they'll say anything, to cover their behinds. Like, that's always in the back of my mind. I'm not anti-police. I'm not anti-officer, but I always feel like that there's that blue shield or that blue code that they live by. So when people say stuff and they're like, no, that's not true, the police would do that, I always have it in the back of my mind, like, yeah, they probably would, which kind of sucks. And it took me a long time. Like, I thought I was over it until recently, like when all this stuff started happening with George Floyd and all that stuff. It's crazy how like all that starts rushing and coming back to you. So I struggled with my own peace during that time, because it was like, I honestly thought it was over. Like, I was over it, but it bothered me. It bothered me. And it bothered me to the point that I didn't even know it. Like, I had no idea, because I never received counsel before. I never did any of that stuff. So I never got closure. But like, when all of that happened here, like all the protests that were here, that were where you guys are, yeah, it really opened up a can of worms inside of me.
How are you doing now? Are you okay?
Oh yeah, I'm good now. I'm good. Like I said, part of I made a Facebook post a while back talking about it. That really helped.
Okay.
That was my first time talking about it to like everybody. Like, people that know me never knew that happened to me.
I had no idea.
Yeah. But then when I made that post, it was kind of like closure for me, and also just making people aware with everything that was happening in the country at the time and the state that we were in. It was really helpful for me.
What kind of response did you get? I mean, I saw a lot of the posts, comments and everything when you posted that, but it sounded mostly supportive.
Yeah, it was supportive. Like, people that know me, they know me. You know what I mean? Like, they know, I'm a big guy, but I'm the most like gentle guy you'll meet. I'm not like a badass by any means. You know what I mean? So it's, I guess, because I didn't talk about it all the time, so people I don't know. People, I feel like people, it was not believable, but like, because I didn't talk about it, it had a greater impact on people when I told them, because I never talked about it. And it quite frankly, it was one of those things I always wanted to forget. Like, I didn't want to talk about it, but it always bothered me inside.
Mm-hmm. I will say, I mean, it definitely, it's not a story that you think like, oh, he's just waving this around trying to get attention, because like you said, it's not something you talked about before.
Right.
And it wasn't, you didn't like, oh, let me tell you this. You didn't try to use it as like this platform for yourself. I think it was good timing from when you did tell it, because I think it had a good impact, because I know you mentioned it when there was a lot of protesting going on, and
like I had a lot of friends that on social media that were like, well, there's always two sides to every story, and the police didn't do this, and like that bothered me, because I'm like, okay, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I do everything by the letter of the law, and this happened to me. So you can't tell me that that won't happen to anybody. Like, come on. Like, that's what the part that really bothered me. That's what made me really want to open up and talk about it, because people were saying like, well, I want to see what happened before they started the camera. I want to see what happened before this. I'm like, sometimes people just, you know, so yeah, it can happen to like ordinary people. So that's my biggest gripe. And that was the reason why I decided to make that post, is because all the people were saying, well, you don't know, he did this or he could have did that. And I was like, nah, sometimes people just are walking down the street having a nice day, and then crap happens.
do you use this? I mean, I'm sure you don't just outright tell your students, but do you use this experience to try to teach your students or your athletes any kind of?
I've never shared this experience with my students ever, but I do always try to tell them. And if I'm pretty sure if I told them the story, they would understand more why I always just tell them what I tell them. I always tell them, you got to be smart enough to think yourself out of a paper bag, because sometimes you don't have to go looking for trouble, it'll find you. So the decisions that you make and the choices that you make and the places that you go might seem harmless at times, but you have to be aware of your surroundings. And I always tell my kids that, like, you got to be, especially being a Black male in this area, you have to be aware. You just have to be aware of your surroundings. And you have to understand that, like, you don't necessarily have to be doing anything wrong for something to happen to you. So I try to get them to understand that. But these kids are like so bulletproof and like clueless now. Like, it's good and it's bad in the same sentence. When I was younger, I grew up in the area. There was like, you could go somewhere and buy drugs. You can go somewhere and buy guns. You can get into lots of trouble. I had the opportunity to do that kind of stuff, and I stayed away from it for 18 years. And then I go all the way to like Snow White, Winona, and here I am. Like, it's crazy how that happened. Like, I just found trouble there after avoiding it for like 18 years of my life.
Were your friends okay? Did they file any lawsuits or anything like that?
No one filed lawsuits, but they all got all the charges.
How did your mom handle all this?
Well, my mom was flipping out. She was like, when I told her, like, she wanted me out of there. She wanted me to go like right now when they were on the house. That was the straw for her. And then when she told me to go buy a handgun, that was the straw for her too. Like, that sequence of events, she was like, you don't need to be there anymore because they're going to kill you.
And your mom is not that kind of woman.
No.
Rudy?
You met my mom, yeah.
I did. I remember she hung out. I don't remember where you were, but she hung out with us.
Yeah, she did.
Like a whole day. Yeah.
Yeah. And she talks about that. But yeah, like that was, I don't know. I used to get tired of being scared. Like, that was the most frustrating part, because like, you don't tell anybody you're scared. You don't get to talk about it. You don't get to say I'm scared. And you have to keep that inside of you. And then at the same time, just try to be normal. But you're scared. Like, I remember one time I had people over, and Marcus was at my house. with some more people. I had like 5 or 6 people who was just playing cards, BSing. And everybody's like, all right, I'm going home, I'm going home. I'm like, I wanted to be like, no, don't go home. You know what I mean? Like, I remember that night distinctly. And I just remember how I felt like I couldn't sleep. And till recently, honestly, looking back, I never sleep much anyway. And after all of this happened, I kind of made that connection. That's probably why I don't sleep. You know what I mean? So um it's it's crazy. Like I said, I didn't realize how much it affected me and for how long. But like I said, until I talked about it and actually got that Facebook post I made, that's when it started to get better. But I didn't realize how much it affected me because I just bottled it up. And then I never talked about it. But I didn't realize it until afterwards.
So brave for fighting against the charges, so brave for even staying in Winona and even then telling your story. Like there's so many amounts of bravery. Like, man, I knew I was going to cry. It's awesome, Rudy. It's awesome that you had the ability to be brave. Not awesome that it happened to you. That's horrible. It's horrible that it happened to you, but
I'm glad you think I was brave because I think I was scared.
Well, I'm sure you were.
Of course you were. You were what, like 19 or 20?
Yeah. But you may have been scared, but you were still brave. You acted very bravely. I don't know if I would have been able to do that.
I was scared. I'm really not gonna lie. I was terrified. I'm not even I don't know. I wish some people could honestly, if I could do it, if there was a way, if God gave me a magic power and I could switch a person's body into mine and just let them walk around for a day or two in certain places. I wish I could do that with every white person. That would be awesome. Because I feel like the world would be such a better place because we had that understanding. Certain things people just take for granted or they don't believe is mind-boggling. People are so clueless still. And to me, that's the problem. That's the problem now. That's why it is the way it is, because people don't honestly believe that stuff like that happens, or they're not aware. Not that they don't want to be aware, it's just that they're not aware. They don't think it happens. So if I had the ability to do that, that would be awesome. And I think it would make the world change.
What would you want people to take away from this, from hearing this story?
The biggest thing is I want people to know that that stuff happens. It's real. I mean, it can happen to anybody. Anybody. I think about my son. He's in Wisconsin, in Eau Claire. So I'm dude, I don't know what I would do if something happened to him. You know what I mean? That could be anybody's son, anybody's daughter, anybody's brother, cousin in that situation at any given time. Keyshawn could be George Floyd. My daughter could be George Floyd or Breonna Taylor. That could be anybody at any given time. People don't see it. They're clueless. That's the most frustrating thing. I want people to take away from that situation is you got to be careful. That happens. It happens. Don't be so naive that you become a statistic. That's what I want people to take away from it and it's got to change, but it has to change. I guess I want more people to know. I have a lot of white friends, tons. I want all my white friends to know, yeah, this happens. Don't be that naive that you just, or they had to be doing something, or don't be that person.
And I think that's the common thought is, well, if you don't respect the police, if you talk back, if you resist, of course, they're going to come back at you with force.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you don't even have to you don't have to do that. I don't know. People have issues power struggle. They have power trips. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the dude's problem was. He told Afia, that's the girl whose landlord he was. He told her he did that just to let me know it was serious. Like, as if I wasn't taking it serious. You have my head pinned to the sidewalk, my eyes bleeding, my arms broken. You beat me with a flashlight. You don't think I'm taking it serious? Like,
Right.
like that's mind-boggling to me.
Ugh.
Like, she testified that understands for me. And that was her piece that she testified, her conversation with him. And I didn't even know that they were landlords. She was like, I didn't even think he would be capable of doing something like that. I didn't know he was her landlord until she told me. And she said she talked to him and she thought he was a good dude. And I said, wow.
Goodness.
Thank you for telling us that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys for having me. I really do. Yeah. I mean, it might seem sad, but this is very helpful for me. And I ain't gonna lie. It's therapeutic.
Good. I hope it helps anyone that listens to it too. I hope it helps people understand and get some kind of awareness as to what's actually going on. I don't mean to cry all the time, but sorry.
I appreciate the sympathy or the empathy. That's what it is, not sympathy.
It is empathy. It is 100% empathy.
Like, that's what we need. Like, we need more people like you who can empathize so that this doesn't continue to happen. That's it. That's what I want.
Got it,
Yeah.
man.
What I would hope would come from this is that there would be more empathetic people who understand or who are willing to understand. Like, I'm looking like I was in my class the other day. It was just yesterday. Yesterday. Some of my kids were talking about our governor passing a law that it's illegal to make white people feel bad about stuff that happened to black people.
Oh,
Like, it's literally like signed in the law. So, like,
DeSantis did?
And I thought the kids were like joking, and then made it a law. Like, it's illegal to make white people feel bad about things that happen to black people in slavery. It's like, I'm like, are you kidding me?
How do you, so are you okay, like, with us putting this? I mean, I know you're not going to like have a math lesson and tell your students this, but are you okay with us posting this?
That's 100% fine. Like, yeah, that's why I want to do it.
High school kids aren't going to listen to this, Ingrid. They're not going to listen to us.
They might if they hear that Coach Story is on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Or Mr. Story.
Yeah. And I would want if my kids are gonna know this about me, I would rather them know it from you guys than me telling them the story. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's easier for me to talk to you and then have them hear it than to me talk to them and tell them about it.
Right.
Because
you mean like sit down. Do they know this happened? Your kids?
No, not my students in my class. No.
But I mean, like your kids.
Yeah. Like, me and Keisha talk about it all the time. Well, not all the time, but we used to talk about it all the time.
Okay.
Especially, because I like wanted him to be safe. Like, he's half white, so I feel like he has a leg up. No, I'm just kidding. Use your white voice when you're around. Hey, man, come on, dude.
Oh my God. That reminds me of like Chappelle when he would do he's a white man.
Hello, brother.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's like I said, it's therapeutic to talk about. I would love for my kids to know this. I just don't know how to tell them. You know what I mean? Like, I get emotional when I still talk about it. So I don't want them to see me as like.
Well, you could always tell them just to listen to this episode. Be like, hey, if you want to hear something, go check out this podcast. You're going to be episode number 6, I think.
Definitely. Like, I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it. Yeah. Yeah.
We're doing, so this will come out on the 16th. We're going to have 3 episodes. There's 2 really long episodes on just Black History Month where I'm just going through. Like,
Ingrid did some homework.
I know. Can you believe it, Rudy?
Ingrid was always smart, though.
But I didn't do homework. Everybody would always they're like, Ingrid, do you want to go to the library? And I would just laugh. Come on, guys. I hated the library. It's so easy now. You can just go online.
Yeah, that's where you go to take naps, the library.
Yes.
That's quiet.
I remember when you came into the house and you had Jeff with you, and I thought he was so cute.
Yeah.
And I think you guys said you were going to go to the library, and I'm like, okay, I'll go. And then Sarah and Sarah were just looking at me like, really, Ingrid, you're going to go to the library now. That was a fun year.
Yeah, it was. Like that was, even though after all of this happened and I met you guys, that's when, I don't know, it was like, it's like that almost had to happen for me. You know what I mean? To meet you guys and then have the times that we had, because I think I met you guys, I was like at the lowest point of life.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
And y'all had no idea. But like this stuff was like eating me up. And then I met you guys and it was fun again. So I feel like God gave me that. I needed that.
Well, because we were dumb.
Yeah. And I needed you guys.
We made you wear cheese heads.
Yeah. Yes. Like you made life fun for me. So,
there's a picture of that, isn't there? Isn't there a picture
yeah,
of
I just saw it. I just saw it. Yeah. I'll put it on our Instagram.
Thank you.
But I think there's a picture of, oh gosh, who we bet you and Marcus, and I don't remember if it was playoffs.
Yeah.
Was it playoffs? And we had to wear, was it Emmitt Smith jerseys?
Emmitt Smith jersey, yes.
Because Green Bay lost.
Yeah.
It was a funny house.
It was Liberty Street.
Yeah. You were homecoming king that year.
Yeah. Like I said, you guys made that fun for me. I needed that. You guys have a good night. Ingrid,
you too.
Yeah, we need to keep in touch more.
Yeah, I should all come to Florida one day.
You know what? We keep talking about wanting to take a trip. We should watch out. Be careful what you wish for, Rudy.
I'll be your tour guide. All right. Bye. You guys.
Bye. Rudy, thank you again for sharing your situation with us. We know that was difficult and emotional. We do appreciate it. We do feel that it was an important story to share.
Sorry, I'm kind of speechless right now. That it's heartbreaking that I lived in Winona for 3 years and I had no idea that something like that actually happened there. No, I had no clue. That's so sad. So sad that we were so oblivious to it.
And one thing Rudy said was, for his takeaway, that he would like his white friends to be able to walk in his shoes for a day. I think I kind of want to broaden that just to say that, yes, while I think that's important, I think it's important for all of us to remember that every single person has their own individual situations and stories that they're dealing with that you have no idea. So we need to lay off the judgments. We need to lay off the accusations, because you have no idea what somebody has gone through. And when you hear a story like this, you think of things, and I think we did talk about this, that, well, if you would have just listened, if you would have just followed the rules, if you wouldn't have put yourself in that position in the first place.
You mean victim blaming?
Yeah, thanks. That's exactly it. The purpose of this, like what Rudy said, but I think also from our perspective, is we just want,
literally, we're just literally trying to bring awareness that situations like this do happen that you may not be aware of.
And just be kind to each other and understanding.
We're all human.
We are.
Are we human or are we dancers?
Well, we're always dancers. Okay. Thank you again, Rudy. Thank all of you for listening.
Yes, thank you, Rudy. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. If you'd like to reach out to us or submit your situation, please contact us at anothersituationpodcast@gmail.com or find us on Instagram at Another Situation Podcast. We're also on Facebook at Another Situation.
Another Situation is produced and edited by Point 5 Pinoy. Music is written and performed by Tim Crow.